Hello and welcome to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today at Calf Hey Reservoir, which is in Haslingden, near Rochdale in Lancashire. Now we've not come to have a look at how tap water's brought to us, as interesting as that is. What we've actually come to have a look at is the 19th century farm ruins that lay all around this reservoir. A lot of reservoirs throughout Lancashire and Yorkshire have a lot of secrets, as a lot of them have been flooded and there's farms and other towns and bits and pieces underneath them. Now, although the ruins around here, you know, they was here around the same time as this reservoir was built behind me, that's not why they've become ruins. The reason they become ruins is agriculture at that time was suffering really badly, a bit like today, and they turned over to weaving, and then as that started failing, they eventually just become deserted. So without further ado, let's crack on and have a look, shall we? I'm now studying one of the more impressive ruins. These date from about the 19th century. As you can see, there's still a gable end standing here with 3 windows, and it's quite an impressive view out of those windows, out onto the valley below. I suppose that still doesn't compensate for it being windy and bleak up here, and it being hard, firm working land. Look at that, there's a lot. They're very thick, these walls. It's very impressive seeing how they've been built. You know, there's not really a lot of bonding to it. There's a lot of straight joints in it, but they're still stood here, so the stonemason did a good job, really. We'll take a quick little look round now at the actual size of this one. It's quite a big one, really. Whether it's been a main farmhouse or not, I don't know. Now those stones that are stuck up vertically, and there's a larger one there, those are actually the doorways. They would have used them instead of timber frames back then. Obviously they last longer, and they're probably set really deep, and that's why they've remained while the rest of the building's been demolished around them. This is one that's actually laid down now. Whether or not that would have gone over as a lintel, or it's been snapped off, it's been part of one and just been snapped off, you can't really make out. I'll now take you on the other side of this gable end so we can have a look at it from the other side and see what kind of view would have been seen through the window. The stonework is a little bit better on this side. Lots of little cubby holes built into it. What they would have been for, I don't know. Just take a quick look at the valley. Look at that waterfall there in the distance. As I say, it's an amazing view, really. But I should imagine those people who lived in them, in these type of houses, they didn't get to enjoy it that much. Now this building had a cellar, as you can see the opening there. I don't know if we'll be able to get closer to that and have a look inside or not. I don't know if you can see inside here or not, but there's actually stone shelves in there that would have stored food or meat and other things that they probably wanted to keep cold. I'm not going to get inside there because it's quite deep. There's actually stone steps in there, and if I get in I probably won't be able to get out. That's just a quick little look into the cellars. We're now following the original farm track. As you can see, it's quite wet and bad in places. I've had to put my dogs on the lead because there's sheep roaming about on here, and farmers do have the right to shoot your dog if it's worrying them. Now this is another really impressive ruin. As you can see, there's a gable end here which pretty much is intact. You can see the shape of the roof there on it. One of the door frame posts is still up and the hinge is actually still attached to it, the top one. Now on the other side of this building is a huge buttress that's been used to sort of prop the building up against the hillside. What these little markings are in here, these little openings, There's one on this gable end and there's one on what's left of the gable end there to my right. I don't know. They seem to go straight through the wall, so whether some kind of reinforcing for the floor was put in there or not, I don't know. There's a lot of flagstone in here, which would have probably been used for the roof. Unfortunately, there's no bits of timbers in here which would have been used on the roof. But a lot of these may have been flagstone roof, which would have been very, very heavy, I should imagine. That's the outside of the gable end. Let's move our way down. You can see some more gate posts which led into this this little barn cum yard type thing. As I said, lots and lots of stone. You know, I believe there was some quarries nearby, and that's probably where a lot of this stone came from. I should imagine it was quite expensive in the day. This would have been the little yard. It doesn't look much now, all overgrown. That's the buttress there. I'll just step back from it. You should get a better view. That stone buttress would have been pushed up against that building and would have stopped it sliding all the way down that hill. Eventually, though, it looks like gravity got the better of it. That narrow slit there in the wall, I'm quite intrigued by that, as I don't actually know what it would be for. I can't honestly see that it would serve any purpose. You can't say it's a weep hole of any description. On the other side, it's rather bigger than that. It's like a big square on the other side. It just faces out over the valley there. It just doesn't make any sense what it's for. If anyone does know, then please leave your ideas in the comments below. I'm now stood in a building that's a little bit further up from the one as I just showed you with the large gable end. You can just see it in the background there. And this one you can see where subsidence has really got to it. The walls are leaning all over the place. There's a little bit of a gable end stood up there, but there's not much remains of this one. It's all sort of caved in. Some fallen stone door casings there. You can see where it's snapped off there just near my foot. Them give you a better impression of the sort of sizes they would have used. Again, I should imagine those were quite expensive to buy when they was buying them from the stonemasons. We'll just take a little look round one side here, because this part here is an extension. Now, unfortunately, because this building hasn't been tied into this one here, and there's been no keying in, you can see where the buildings have decided to go the separate ways. One's leaning inwards and one's leaning outwards, and that's why we now key buildings in. Once again, these narrow farm tracks are still in use, although they're very wet and very muddy. Anybody coming up here certainly needs the wellies. Now this one really isn't impressive for a little farmstead, as the majority of the buildings are intact and pretty high walls. We'll take a slow little loop walk around now, but you'll be able to see how people lived. Now this is obviously a very primitive toilet. This is where these poor unfortunate people would have to come out to. Now this is primitive living. It's not really big. The only light I should imagine would have been a candle or some kind of lamp. And as we get closer there, this little area here is where you would sit. There would be a piece of wood across there, and then it would be, you would do your business, known as middens. We'll have a look round the other side and I'll show you how they emptied these things. A little window in the side of the wall there to afford a bit of light during the day. Now that little opening there goes straight into the midden which I showed you inside. and I should imagine that's where the waste came out, and it probably ended up in that pit there, and then it would be taken out manually. It wouldn't be done via drains, and it probably ended up on those fields there. It makes you think how lucky we are and what we take for granted. Now this one's quite a sizable farmhouse, and there's some nice features inside and some bits of plaster were left on the wall, so they definitely did have some money. So I'll invite you in, shall I? If you'd like to follow me, hot potters, we'll show you inside. As you can see, this is an impressive sized room. And just look at that fireplace. Now that's quite big. It looks like it would have been the upstairs one. Again, there's probably a lot of infill of rubble where I'm stood on, so the room would have obviously been lower. You know, but sort of a fireplace on top of a fireplace, that one. There's the upstairs window. The living room window I just spoke to you from, and obviously the door. If you look on that gable end wall, you can see where this has been a room that's been built on. You can see the original building there from next door. As I say, I'm surprised that they stood up so long, because nothing's keyed in. It's just sort of built on top of one another, or lap bond as it used to be known as. Now this here looks like the doorway's been bricked up. Obviously these sort of farmhouses, they've probably adapted over time. You know, it may have started out life as just a really small building, and they've just carried on adding and building onto it. That was probably the door originally. You can certainly see where walls have been, and then they've just been sort of nibbled off. There's even part of the cast iron fireplace still in here. What this area would have been for, I don't know. They just look like stones that's just been stuck up there. You know, I can't imagine somebody would have had that in the living room. Anyway, we'll go and have a quick little look on the outside, and then we'll push on. It's amazing how some of these walls are still stood up, really. You know, so you look at how they're leaning. These are some of the roof stones. These will have come off. Somebody started stacking them up. Now these are some of the stones off the roof, and as you can actually see there's the holes that have been put into them so that they could put bradish nails through, very similar to how people do with slates today. The only trouble is, I should imagine, if you broke one of these when you was putting your little hole in, it would cost a little bit more than just a piece of slate. Fireplace down there. There's some wooden beams still in here, or remains of wooden beams that would have come from the roof trusses. Now this is part of the original wooden beams. There's about 3 pieces that I can see just on the top of the rubble here. What they do appear to have is little holes in them, which would indicate that they've unfortunately got woodworm, and that may have led to the demise of these buildings, or certainly the roofs of these buildings. Well, there we have it. That was the 19th century farm ruins up here at Haslingden Grane, pretty close to Calf Hey Reservoir. Hopefully you've enjoyed our little tour of them as much as we've enjoyed looking round them. So until the next time, when we'll be out and about once again, bye bye for now.